So, should we start with the recap?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, for the folks watching at home, essentially, this is a game that, as everyone here knows, we've been playing for a little while. Months, I think, since July?
A hot sec.
Late June?
Yeah.
I believe it was sometime in July, yeah.
Well, essentially, I'm going to be making and releasing an episode 0, which is kind of like a recap of all the major stuff that's happened up until now. So hopefully that'll be up and out by the time I decide to get around to editing, recording, and putting this up. So we'll find out. But to recap what we did last session, and everyone can correct me if I forget anything, but last time, the group finished up the last of their business in the dwarven city of Goldhammer and decided that the next best course of action would be to begin their diplomatic mission by heading to the elven city of Naysarin, wherein they acquired some letters from the post office. Fugue, for one, managed to get her letter from Brufus, wishing her well and may or may not have had like a little meta joke in there. Who knows? And Thorin, though he did not read the letter right away, received it from Girder, who was the captain of the Royal Guard in Rensharn before certain events transpired where Rensharn is no longer available. However, that is not the end of what happened in Naysarin. For the group, with the exception of Tonda and Chant, who, for Chant's safety and to prevent a diplomatic incident, decided to stay aboard their airship, the Sapphire, during which time they were pretty fortunate. No one attacked them, no one really came to investigate, or at least none that they saw. However, in Naysarin itself, the remaining group members of Fugue, Kara, and Thorin decided to visit the royal heads of the city, the king and queen, who I believe... I'm so organized. who I believe went by the names of Queen Ariosh Nolanai and King Drezelan Nolanai. Now, the group had a fair bit of time to get themselves all dolled up, all prettied up and prim and proper looking for the royal family themselves, and went to extensive lengths to be taught the proper procedure and what was required of them, how they were to speak, how they were to act, how they were even to, do a proper bow, of which most of the group followed that.
Don't look at me.
But don't look at Kara. You know what? That's fair, because Kara, in her heart of hearts, decided that she is a free spirit and one who knows the value of one's freedom and willpower, and just decided to express that willpower. It just so happened that they came, though they succeeded, I should stress, you all did succeed in gaining the support of Naysarin, the city-state/kingdom, for the military expedition that Goldhammer has sent you all upon. It was close. The support was not unanimous, I'm afraid. In fact, they asked you, as part of their acceptance before they would fully commit their resources, that during your time scouting outside the barrier, before you return, that you would bring back a legendary artifact, the Banner of Elvenkind. Not to be confused with the boots, the cloak, the shoes, the hat of Elvenkind, all those Elven... No, this is different. I swear. This legendary artifact from eons past was wielded by the greatest generals of their elven armies, of which they used to conquer many an enemy, subjugate many a foe, destroy many a monster that was terrorizing the land in ages past, but now since has been lost beyond the barrier, although they believe such a legendary artifact could never be destroyed. So that was, for better or for worse, tacked on to your to-do list. But during your time of these negotiations, Thorin decided to read the letter that he received from Gerder, of which, among other things, warned that certain events were transpiring in Ironfall. The diplomatic situation was becoming worse. The three rival factions who were all vying for the now empty throne were starting to whip up their supporters into a frenzy with seeing people getting attacked in the streets whenever the guards weren't looking. And what's more, disappearances, kidnappings, people going missing. And it would seem that the rival factions, these supposed nobles, people trying to lead the city or earn the right to rule, were doing nothing about it, at least not officially. And if nothing else, even if they were interested, between fighting the other factions for control and the Council of Ancients insisting that there could be nothing wrong, that would happen in Rensharn. Well, this may be the precursor to another event such as that. And with that in mind, you all decided to board your airship, the Sapphire, and upon informing Tonda and Chant of all that went on, sailed through the skies towards Ironfall, landing in the, I believe it was the early morning. I think it's around 5 a.m.
I think so.
Am I right? Am I wrong?
We'll believe you.
No, that sounds right.
It is 5 a.m. now. Yes, in the just before dawn, a couple hours before the sun rises, and probably a little bit longer, given that you were surrounded by the mountains. You all arrive, tucking your airship in between some rocky crevices outside of the Ironfall city walls. And this is where our mental camera will fade back in as our group, standing on the deck of their airship, having parked it, begin to discuss what their next course of action shall be.
Ooh, boy.
Thorin, are you still not allowed in?
Well, I'm not exactly allowed in the diamond areas, but I'll stick around the I'll stick around the refugee camp just to be safe.
Is our airship gonna be alright just on its own out here like this?
Well, if it needs it.
Pardon?
If anyone touches it, I'll murder them.
That is a fair point, but that doesn't really answer the question.
Maybe we ask it very nicely to stay put.
That's a good idea.
Thank you. How
Is
about
it-
we... Oh, you go.
I was just gonna ask, is the airship kind of parked in a way that's not immediately visible to someone walking by?
Well, I suppose that depends on you guys. Who was piloting the airship around this time when you decided to land it?
Captain Sean?
Oh god, because that went so well last time.
I don't know what you mean.
Well then, Captain Chant, I would like you then to, we'll say that this is, we'll sort of go back in time a split for a second here. I would like you to make a stealth roll with disadvantage because you are trying to hide an entire airship behind the mountains, so to speak.
But what if we throw a blanket over it?
It's got to be a
Just,
very big blanket.
Hmm.
I have a very big blanket.
Oh.
No, you don't.
Serious.
Well, you try to find a patch of the mountain stone that kind of seems to blend a bit with the wood. However, like any kind of any kind of like way of hiding it properly, you find just with this terrain, this area, and there's no real landmarks to properly disguise an entire flying ship with the sails and everything. After a while, you're just like, okay, this is tucked out of direct line of sight, but it's really the best you can do.
Good enough.
Woo!
Is it really?
I mean, does anyone make sure no one leaves something they need on it? So if worst comes to worst, we have all our stuff.
Well, we have the bag of holding.
Yeah, that reminds me. I just suddenly realized my bag's really, really heavy.
I don't know how long I've been over carrying capacity for, but it sure is nice to know that now.
Can you put it in the bag of holding?
Yeah, can I put money in there? Will that help my weight?
Oh yeah.
Oh, thank God. Thank you.
Yeah, I recommend dropping the money that you don't plan on spending in the bag, because that both helps prevent it getting stolen, and it really helps ease the weight issue.
Alright, I'll put... Whoa! I'll put a bit of money in there.
Alright. Awesome. So, Fuga, you're just dumping, like, piles and piles of gold, silver, and copper into this thing.
Like I'm pouring it out of my bag into the other bag.
Your pockets that were once, like, very, relatively well stitched together have now been noticeably stretched by the sheer amount of weight and everything that was weighing it down with the coins before.
I'd just like to add that Chance's mouth is watering as he watches Fuga do this.
I can give you some.
No, it's fine. It's your money. Can't steal anymore, damn it. I'll get money back somehow.
We can get you a job.
What's that?
Oh. It's not, I don't know, I didn't really have one either. I feel like this is the blind leading the blind. Someone
lessons.
someone gives you money and it's A-okay. That's a job.
Yeah, stealing it seems fast.
So, with Fuga having lightened up her pockets, does anyone else want to deposit anything into the bag of holding while Fuga has it out?
Don't believe so.
Can I put my breastplate in there?
Fair enough. It takes a bit of finagling to really, because like the bag doesn't have like a massive opening, but you manage to, angle it in such a way that you can kind of jimmy the breastplate bit by bit in, and after a certain point, whoop, it seems to vanish from your grasp as it falls further and further into this seemingly infinite space.
Do we go?
Yeah, if there's nothing else, should we head out?
Sounds good.
Woo!
Woo! Alrighty then. So, there is of course the rope ladder, but because some people like to make use of it, is anyone making use of the anchor chain to get down?
Of course.
Oh, boy.
Okay, well, Fuga, because you're a monk and you tend to do things with a lot of flip and style, that can be acrobatics. With Kara, however, I would like you to, use athletics as normal.
Oh, you can reroll it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
How high up are we?
Hey, Chan, how high up did you park off the ground?
God.
That is a fantastic question.
One which we are all very eager to hear.
Yeah.
Don't worry about me.
I guess it'd be 40 feet.
Oh,
40
that's
feet?
nothing.
Yeah, that really is. In fact, that's incredibly nothing, because as Fugue, you begin swinging around down the chain, climbing down like a spider monkey. Suddenly, your hands slip, and you're falling backwards. But then you remember that, oh yeah, monks have that slow fall ability. So you float down to the ground as Kara effortlessly. The best, especially in plate metal armor, it's amazing. Just hand over hand. The muscles in her neck, because really everything else is covered by the armor, you can see them straining with veins popping out, but she is just carrying that weight as she pulls herself arm over arm down to the ground.
You good, Fugue?
Yeah. Did you see my superhero landing?
It was really cool. That was that beep.
Hello, Beep. It's your robot friend.
It's the camera. Someone mute it. Now everyone else, you're just taking all the rope ladder down.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fair. Not everyone has a slow fall ability or super high athletics, but yes. So you begin heading down the mountain paths. There's none really formed, but you sort of either make your own or you find your way around certain areas. Climbing down from where you parked your airship into the relatively hilly but, much more passable terrain until, my god, it has been a while since I brought this out. You reach Ironfall.
Ooh, I forgot about it.
Yeah, this amazing piece of artwork, I tried my best.
We love it. It's amazing.
Good job.
So good. It's like
Remember when we nearly fell down that pit?
Yeah, I remember when you nearly fell down the giant-ass pit.
we could have been in the Underdark. That would have not been good.
Bold of you to assume we would have survived the fall.
Well,
I think even with Fuga's monk ability, that would have been too far.
we could use blankets as parachutes, right?
Yeah, that's how it goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid this isn't Breath of the Wild, guys.
Aww.
Well, it was.
Put my elf ranger backup character.
Oh boy.
Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Now I'm thinking of what kind of build Link from Breath of the Wild would be. Anyway, okay. Focus, Ben. But yes, so by the time you arrive, given the amount of time you spent, traveling from your little hidey area to the city, it's already about 10 a.m., a good 5 hours worth of traveling before you make it up to the familiar and foreboding walls of the Citadel that leads to the greater underground complex of Ironfall proper. And as you approach, sure enough, there is very little foot traffic or even cart traffic, and the guards, seemingly bored at their post with not many people coming in and out of the city, especially these days, stand very quickly up to attention as they notice travelers, not coming from the direction of the main road, it would seem, heading towards their city, and to their credit, they do wait for you to come to them before they start barking. Does anyone say anything first, though?
No.
Hi.
High five. Woo!
In unison. So, who says whatever they just said first?
Oh, I was just saying hi.
Yeah, I was just saying hi.
Okay. Well, the guards kind of look at each other. This little halfling child and this, to them, very interesting looking human, even compared to other humans. But they sort of look at each other, then look back, and one of them, a female guard, with like most of her features are hidden behind her helmet, but she just goes, "We would like to ask, what exactly you're doing here? Like, what's your business with Ironfall?"
I'm coming to see my dad.
Your dad?
Yeah. His name is Rufus. He's really nice.
I see. I'm afraid Ironfall isn't really open to visitors at this time, even for familial reasons. The city has sort of ordered a soft quarantine for all but the most important merchants, trade caravans, and delegates.
What about a political entry then? And I shine the badge off.
Ooh.
You mean a political delegate? You're a delegate? Oh! Well, why didn't you just say so? Right, well, let's just take a look at these seals here. And she grabs your seal, Thorin, just snatches it out of your hand, takes a look at it. Goldhammer, eh? Well, that's new.
Ooh.
Huh. So they're, sort of leans in a bit close to you, Thorin. They're hiring non-dwarf delegates now from a dwarven city.
They needed all the help they can get.
Well, I mean, not really my place to judge, but you know what? No, I'm not going to say it. Not my place to judge. All right, then. Are the rest of your little entourage also delegates? And they kind of look a bit... Both of them now are kind of looking a bit doubtfully at Fuga, this the halfling baby child.
Yeah, they're all the same. She's the main. She's the leader.
Yeah, that's me.
Alright, we're gonna need to see some proof. This is the other guard. The very short for a dwarf, but at the same time he makes up for it by being extremely broad, and he's sort of, he's stepping up to all of you. He's like, "All right, let's see him. Let's see your diplomatic seals."
I flash my badge.
Oh shit! Well, I'll be damned. Do the rest of you show yours, or?
I thought
Yeah.
we. Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but very reluctantly about it.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Tanda?
I forgot that we each had one. I thought it was just
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, each of you did receive one in Goldhammer as sort of a way that even if you split off from the group, you'd still be able to conduct diplomatic affairs if necessary. But they each take a turns looking at each of yours, and seemingly satisfied, though they still kind of cast a doubtful look at Fuga. They're like, all right, we'll send the message. And they slam on the massive gates. They're like, "Oi! Open it up! Delegates! Yeah, even the halfling!" On with that. The massive gates begin to very slowly scraping along the cobblestone and dirt pathway into the main trades district of Ironfall. And you would all, of course, know that the trades district is also home to the refugee district, where the people, the survivors from Rensharn who you rescued, those who survived the journey, rather, were taken, and you all convinced the Council of Ancients to allow these people to set up residence here, to be protected from, the harshness of the outside world, and as such, they have all, at least from what you gathered from Rufus's letter, some of them, including him, have managed to get, some semblance of work that pays the bills and keeps them fed. Others, you notice as soon as you begin stepping in, are clearly not so lucky. Lining the streets of the trades district, everywhere you look, you notice someone who you may recognize from that crowd of refugees, or just in general, a lot more homeless people here. Some holding up signs begging for food, others money, some saying they'll work for minimum rates. It's quite a shock to see that things have clearly, there is no Ironfall, despite allowing the people to stay here. There is no real support for these people besides what they can scrape up for themselves.
As we pass these groups of people, I want to, hand them a platinum piece, each one I come across.
Wow, alright. Let me just do a quick little thingy. Yeah, so you're headed straight to the refugee district proper?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, you pass about a good 23 along the way, and each one you're handing a platinum to?
Yep.
All right. Well, as you pass by each one and hand them a platinum piece, some, they're too shocked to really react. Others break into, profuse amounts of, thanking, and some break down in tears. Some even actually, you notice, begin to follow you going, please, I don't know how to repay you. Look, I can work for. Look, do you need someone to carry your bags? Anything. Look, I can polish your armor. I used to be really good at shining people's shoes. I could do the same to your armor if you need it, please. If there's anything I can do.
No worries, friend. Just take it, and I hope things go better for you after this.
Bless you. Bless you. You must be a deity in disguise. Bless you.
Wink.
I mean, they're not too far off. I mean, they are still far off, but there's a theme. But yeah, so it's all those kinds of reactions. Some, a few, they don't trust it. It's kind of like you've had a really bad day and then something kind of nice happens, and you're kind of okay, what's the bad thing gonna happen that makes up for this? So some are clearly suspicious of the sudden windfall, but for the most part, you get very positive reactions of it. I don't know if Kara gets warm feelings from this, but if she does, this would be the kind of moment where it's oh, this is, just the smallest changes make big differences, eh?
She just wants to help out.
Yeah. Oh man, now I'm looking at the Discord chat. Anyway, so if there's nothing else that anyone else is doing, it doesn't take too long to get to the refugee district. You've been there before. It's only about half an hour of weaving your way through the various stalls and ramshackle shops that the few merchants who are allowed in here have managed to set up before you make it to essentially a shanty town in this otherwise very imposing and well-crafted district. It's very juxtaposed by the massive walls surrounding everything. And the refugee district, what few people are still there, are just seeming to be wandering around, sharing what little food they have with each other. Others are actually doing some work. Some are constructing buildings or otherwise assisting in the development proper. Are you looking for Rufus first, or are you looking for Girder, or anything or anyone in particular?
You can go find Rufus with Fugue.
Thank you.
All right then. Whoever is leading the way, please make an investigation check.
Taxi, not it.
No.
doesn't Tanda have the highest investigation?
I have +4.
Smart girl.
Should I? Okay, I'm doing it.
You can do it.
You got it.
I can't.
Woo!
Woo!
Well, you begin searching around for Brufus, and after a couple hours, asking people, it's like, do you know where so-and-so is, and so on. Most of them give you a weird look like, I don't know who that is, and so on. But I'm going to say that you do find someone. You find Gerder, actually. You find her first. She's talking to a small group of some of the other refugees, a few half-elves, one gnome, and she's just like, Right, I understand your concerns, but as I said, I've spoken to the council, and until the matter is resolved, there's nothing I can do anymore about it. So, yes, I understand. It's okay. Yes, I'll see what I can do about getting the medicine in order. Okay, look, you just go home for the day, and you have to get back to work. If they catch you slacking on your shift again, not only are you not going to be able to work, they're probably going to kick you out, so just... Yeah, I don't care if it hurts. Just go. Oh my gods. Are you all sights for eyes? And she begins walking over to all, like, arms outstretched for a big bear hug.
Group hug.
Yeah.
Throwing arms out as well, yeah.
Yeah. She, as many of you as she can, she tries to, like, wrap her arms around all of you, which isn't too many, because, dwarven arms. Yeah, what are you gonna do?
It's a little baby.
But she tussles Fuga's hair, and she's like, let me get a good look at you. Oh, look at you, you've grown so much.
Thank you.
Oh, and Tanda, how are you holding up, dear? Oh, your hair is... It's okay, just a bare week old. Sorry, there was just a bit of dirt in it, but it's looking wonderful now. Thorin! Did you get my letter?
I did, yeah.
Well, I guess that explains why you all came, unless, anyway, never mind that. We'll talk about that later. How are all of you doing? Kara! Chant. But how are you?
I'm looking at Thorin.
Same.
No, don't do this to me.
Toby, he just messaged me, because I'm about to see, he just messaged me being like, I don't remember, did Thorin and Gerda kiss when we left? I had to be like, yes, they did!
I completely forgot, it's been so long since we've been here.
She smooched him.
No. Wait,
You did that, Ben!
Oh, did I?
She gave him a kiss on the cheek.
Oh, okay, that's different. That's
Okay, it wasn't a full-on kiss. Okay, thank God.
A kiss is a kiss!
True, but...
Well, I mean, it depends. It's like, it could be like the French or Italian way, where it's like, oh, a kiss on the cheek. Okay. There was obviously some kind of chemistry, but I mean, it wasn't like, Thorn can interpret it however he wants.
Oh, God.
Wait, I have a question. Out of character. Did Thorin read everybody the letter, or at least tell us that shit was going down? I can't remember.
I read it out in the airship, I believe, when everyone was together.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. Then I'll just say, yeah, what the fuck is going on?
Nice.
Gerder's smile immediately kind of fades a little bit. Sort of looks off down the streets and just making sure of something before turning back and goes, well, perhaps you all should come in for tea, eh? Or maybe a drink of ale. You thirsty?
Parched.
Ale.
Okay.
Not for you, dear. I'm afraid you'll have to stick with water or tea.
I have
Tea.
apple juice, don't worry.
You have apple juice?
Yeah, yes.
Oh my god, you're the best.
How long ago did you buy that apple juice?
A long fucking time.
I will
Alright.
drink it anyway.
I mainly got
good.
it to fill up the flask of life, so there is apple juice in the flask of life currently.
There
Flask
is.
of apple.
There's also
alright.
some in the bag of holding.
Yeah, no, it's in the bag of holding. It's not.
That's true, but all right. No, okay.
I'm gonna drink it, Ben. You can't stop me. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like if it's rotten, if it's booze, I don't care what. I'm gonna drink it.
Pretty much just
I won't
ferment
stop
a
ya.
little bit.
Yeah, ferment it.
Fermented like vinegar. Okay.
I've eaten drinks worse.
Oh, jeez. But yes, so she, short walk. She wasn't right by her home when you met up with her, but she takes you to a, compared to the rest of the shanty town around you, it's moderately better. It still looks like a fairly strong breeze could knock it over, but the wooden planks are held together by, a bit more of a craftsman's hand, and it seems like some of the other refugees have donated what little they could spare to make it a little more comfortable for their unofficially elected representative here in Ironfall. But she takes you in and, looks in some crates, pulling out some clay cups and a few clay plates, sighs a little bit, realizing that she doesn't have enough for everyone, but foregoes one herself and sets up what she can for each of you. Right, so who ordered the tea?
I'll take some.
Okay, I got one
I
for
will
tea.
too.
2. The rest of you are ale? Ale? Alright, we got one.
No.
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 Fugue, no.
I'm sorry, Fugue dear. I'll whip you up a really nice cup of tea. Or if your friends have anything that they brought with them that you'd rather drink, I'll fill that up in your cup instead.
Ooh, apple juice.
Can I just sniff it to see how it smells?
Alright, yeah, give a perception check.
I've been rolling so well.
There you go.
You take in a deep sniff. It's like, oh, that is some apple juice that has gone sour. It is fermented, and you give it a quick touch on your tongue, like you dip your finger in a little bit. It's like, oh, that's practically like bad wine at this point.
Yeah, Fu, you're gonna have tea.
Apple juice later. I got you.
Okay.
All right then. So yeah, she pours Fuga, Kara, and Tonda each a cup of tea, and Chant. Thorin, did you also want ale?
Yes.
Alright. So Chant and Thorin each get an ale. She pours herself one as well, but for her, because she gave you all the cups, she has poured hers into a bowl.
It's muggy outside.
Shoot, we haven't really determined the weather today. Thank you for reminding.
You're welcome.
Weather chart.
Oh yeah, it's normal. Which, okay, yeah, just a cloudy day, so it's a little muggy. Wait, I guess muggy means humid. But whatever. It's cloudy outside. It's a fairly gray day to fit the mood of the refugee shantytown that you're all in. But after a couple sips, she puts down her bowl and claps her hands together. It's like, right, so I suppose I'd best give you all an update. on how things have been going. In a word, shite.
Shite.
Oh, that's don't worry about that, dear. That's just a made-up gobbledygook. Don't say that. People will think you're weird.
Okay.
Okay, dear. Yes, it's going really badly. I would say things have only gotten worse since you left. The House Ironfall, they've obviously still touting that they got the biggest right to rule, and they love flaunting that whenever they can get away with it. Earth Anvil, they basically control most of the economy here, so they are flaunting that. And the Mystic Ales, well, they're not so bad. Or at least they've done the least. Or at least their supporters are the least riotous. No, things have gotten worse. People are fighting, and she sort of lowers her voice a little bit. And as I said in the letter, people have started going missing. At first, it was just from the refugee camp. 1 or 2 heads didn't show up or at least people hadn't seen them in a few days. Assumed they had either died at their day jobs or left or otherwise starved in an alley somewhere. But then more and more people started going missing. No bodies turning up. At the very least, you could rely on the Ironfall burials to see a name or at least a marker that someone had been found dead. But that wasn't even happening. These people were just disappearing. And of course, the guards didn't care. Council didn't care. But now, citizens from Ironfall are starting to go missing. Working its way from the Labour District downward, apparently. Just last week, a minor noble vanished, and people are starting to freak out, but we can't get any kind of organization. Not with all the other, and she looks at Fuga, stuff going on. Can't really do anything at this point, I'm afraid. So I'm sorry that this might be putting a bit of a downer on your visit. But dealing with it as best we can. Fingers crossed, hoping that at least the politics sorts itself out so they can turn their focus,
Girder, have you noticed any patterns in the disappearances? Any specific demographics that are more likely to go missing, or at particular times during the day? Anything?
Let's see. I would say it just really seems to be those who are in the wrong place at the wrong time that are... I mean, at first I figured that someone was targeting the refugees specifically, but now with the others starting to go missing, I can't help but just wonder if a person is wandering alone at the bad time during a shift change or during one of the periods of slumber for one of the districts. If a person's out and about and they go down the wrong way, it seems that they just disappear. Now, I'm not really the best one to be asking about noticing patterns and whatnot. I don't have access to all the records or the witnesses. I especially don't have access to the greater citadel most of the time. I'm usually stuck up here, helping, however I can with the people.
How often do these things happen?
From what I've been able to gather from other people, I'd say at least 1 a night, sometimes 2 or 3. Though it's a big city, it's hard to tell who's disappearing, who's died working in the mines, or who's simply wandered off. At this rate, the only reason people are noticing is because, well, as the citizens here would put it, important people are disappearing. She takes another sip from her bowl.
Okay. What if we get one of us to stand alone, but like everyone else is in an alley, and like whoever tries to like take them, we jump them, and we're like, "Hey, where did you put everyone?"
I was actually thinking
the same thing, but I was afraid to mention it because I didn't know if you guys would say "fuck no," so I didn't say it.
No. I was thinking the same thing as well.
Okay.
The tea drinking squad is at it again.
Well, while I appreciate the idea and the gesture, I mean, I don't want to put you all in any more danger. After what happened, after what I tried to push on you at Renshawn, it wouldn't be right to try and get you to do this.
Look, Girder, we're gonna cross the barrier, so this is really not a big deal.
Yeah.
You're crossing the barrier?
Yep.
Eventually.
Yeah, that brings us to one of the reasons why we came here. We've been tasked by Goldhammer to talk to the neighboring cities and attempt to get an alliance to have an expedition into the barrier. And we're the scouting party going into the barrier for the first time.
They tasked a child to go into the barrier? Looking at Fugue again.
They didn't really seem to care all that much about the people that they sent as long as we did what they asked.
That's insane. Why are they getting you in there? Why are they asking people to do this? What's going on? Okay, no, back up. Front up. Why?
I missed her.
Same.
I mean, who has a better chance than us of coming back?
I think they're just desperate.
Well, yes, but like, why to go into the barrier at all? Like, what is Goldhammer wanting to do?
We wanna, send people into it, and we figure out what's wrong, like what the barrier is and what's beyond it, and we save the day.
She drains her bowl, sits down like, that's ridiculous. All right, not to offend you, you're all very capable. I've seen it firsthand, but the idea alone of just that, it's so like they're sending just Goldhammer. They're just going in there after you poke your head in.
No, it's a lot of people.
We're on a mission to get all the cities to join us. We've just been to Nasarin. Fuck that place.
We went to Notuska?
And now we're here.
Well, you've certainly been around, and oh my God's chant! What happened to your hand?
I was waiting for it.
I lost it in an incident that will be repaid.
Yeah, it was a meat tenderizing accident. He's really self-conscious about it, and he would prefer you not ask about it.
Make a deception check.
Oh, I'm not good at this.
We can't lie to Gerda.
I know. I was honestly okay.
I guess we can lie to Gerda.
lie to Gerda, I guess.
I'm so sorry. You're right. I shouldn't have. That was rude. Chant, can you forgive me?
Okay, I cast message to Gerda and I say, "Girl, I'm kidding. You're fine."
Adam. All right, then. Then how the fuck did you lose that? Oh, sorry. How the heck did you lose the hand?
To explain,
Heck.
to explain how the fuck I lost my hand, you see, I kind of
Language.
pissed off a prince.
Language.
It's English, thank you. Well, common, sorry. But yeah, I kind of pissed off a prince after flirting with him and breaking his heart because he's a gullible bastard. And upon telling him that I fell in love with someone else, he took it very rationally and sent an assassin to kill me, who succeeded.
He sounds like my ex-husband.
Whoa.
He got better though. We fixed him.
Most of it.